The Silent Watchers. The crystalline spires of the observation post Alpha gleamed against the backdrop of endless stars, its translucent surfaces refracting light from a dozen distant suns. Within its chambers, first observer Lyra Sen stood motionless, her iridescent form pulsing with waves of deep purple concern as she studied the holographic display before her. The subject of her attention was a seemingly unremarkable yellow star, third planet from its center. To most species in the galaxy, it would appear utterly ordinary. But Lyra Sen and her fellow Aetherians knew better. They had watched this world for over 10,000 years, recording every step of its dominant species' evolution with growing fascination and mounting dread. First observer called out her second-in-command, Meridian Voss, his crystalline form shimming with amber urgency. The humans have achieved sustainable fusion. Lyra Sen's outer membrane rippled with acknowledgement. They had predicted this breakthrough, of course. The Aetherian probability matrices were never wrong. But the speed at which humanity had progressed from splitting the atom to harnessing the power of the stars was unprecedented. No other species in recorded history had advanced so quickly. How long until they discovered the resonance principle? She asked, though she already knew the answer. At their current rate of technological progression, Meridian Voss responded, projecting a stream of calculations into the shared consciousness space between them, no more than 50 solar cycles. They're already probing the quantum layer, albeit clumsily. Their theories about quantum entanglement are primitive, but remarkably close to understanding the true nature of spacetime. Lyra Sen moved closer to the holographic display, expanding the view to show the entirety of human civilization. Cities glowed like neural networks across the planet's dark side. Satellites orbited in ever-increasing numbers, and the first permanent bases on their moon and red neighbor were already under construction. Most concerning of all were the prototype vessels being assembled in high orbit, ships that bore a striking resemblance to theoretical faster-than-light designs. "Show me the prophecy," she commanded, her tone carrying the weight of centuries of observation. The air between them shimmered as ancient text materialized, written in the geometric patterns of the first ones, those who had seeded the galaxy with the quantum network that bound civilized species together. Meridian Voss translated automatically. From the third stone of a yellow star shall emerge the balancing force. Neither purely creators nor destroyers, they shall break the chains of certainty. In their hands lies both the power to shatter the great web and the wisdom to weave it anew. When the time of crisis comes, their primitive strength shall become their greatest gift to the galaxy. "We've debated the meaning of these words for millennia," Meridian Voss noted, his form flickering with shades of scholarly blue. Many believed it referred to the Zixtai, before their civilization collapsed. Others thought it prophesied the rise of the quantum collective. But none of those species originated from the third planet of a yellow star. Lyra Sen's response was interrupted by a sudden surge of energy from the observation arrays. Multiple alerts flashed across their shared consciousness space as new data poured in. On the holographic display, a small vessel appeared, departing from one of Earth's orbital shipyards. "Impossible," Meridian Voss whispered, his entire form paling to a shocked white. "They can't have. Not yet." But the readings were unmistakable. The human vessel was generating a quantum field signature, crude, unstable, and dangerous by Aetherian standards, but undeniably real. They had done it. Decades ahead of even the most aggressive projections, humanity had discovered the fundamental principle of faster-than-light travel. "Signal the Council," Lyra Sen commanded, her form now pulsing with bands of both fear and excitement. "The time of waiting is over. We must decide. Do we continue to watch, or do we make contact?" As the alert went out across the quantum network, Lyra Sen expanded the holographic display one final time, focusing on a single human city. Unlike her kind, who had evolved beyond the need for sleep millennia ago, the humans below were mostly at rest. Their civilization's greatest achievement was taking place, while the majority of their species slumbered, unaware that they stood on the brink of joining a galactic community they didn't yet know existed. "Look how they dream," she observed, her voice carrying a note of something almost like envy. "Even on the edge of their greatest discovery, they sleep and dream of greater things still. Perhaps that is their true power, the ability to imagine what has never been, to reach for what should be impossible." Meridian Voss moved to respond, but another alert cut him short. The human vessel had activated its quantum field. Against all probability calculations, against all reasonable expectations, it was about to attempt its first faster-than-light jump. "They're not even going to test it in their solar system," Meridian Voss noted with a mixture of horror and admiration. "They're going to attempt an interstellar jump immediately." "Of course they are," Lyra Sen replied, and for the first time in centuries, her crystalline form vibrated with what might have been laughter. "They're human. Why reach for the possible when the impossible awaits?" Together, the Aetherians watched as the tiny human vessel flickered, stretched, and vanished into quantum space, leaving behind a world that would wake to find itself changed forever. The prophecy was in motion, and the galaxy would never be the same. In the silence that followed, Lyra Sen began composing her report to the council. How does one explain a species that defies explanation? How does one quantify the unquantifiable? In the end, she settled for the simplest truth. Humanity has achieved quantum resonance travel. The third stone awakens. The time of balance approaches. We must prepare. As her message pulsed across the quantum network at speeds even humanity had yet to imagine, Lyra Sen turned her attention back to Earth. Tomorrow would bring first contact, diplomatic chaos, and the beginning of humanity's integration into galactic society. But tonight, humanity slept and dreamed, blissfully unaware that they had just changed the course of galactic history forever. The prophecy was clear. They would either be the force that shattered the great web of galactic civilization, or the ones who would weave it stronger than ever before. Looking at the sleeping world below, Lyra Sen wondered which path they would choose, and if even the first ones themselves could have predicted the true impact of these remarkable, impossible humans. Breaking the barrier. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the ESS Endeavour, watching the quantum field distortions fade from the reinforced glass. The experimental vessel's first jump had been successful, carrying them farther in moments than humanity had traveled in all its previous history combined. They had aimed for Proxima Centauri, a simple test jump to the nearest star. Instead, they found themselves facing something impossible. "Captain," her science officer called out, voice tight with controlled excitement. "You're going to want to see this." The massive structure before them defied conventional architecture. It seemed to be made of living crystal, spreading out in fractal patterns that hurt the eyes if you looked at them too long. It was clearly artificial, and just as clearly not of human origin. "Well," Sarah said, allowing herself a small smile, "I guess this answers the question of whether we're alone in the universe." She turned to her communications officer. "Any signals?" Before he could answer, the ship's quantum field sensors, cobbled together from theoretical physics and what Sarah's engineer called educated guessing, lit up like a Christmas tree. The space around them came alive with transmissions and frequencies they'd never imagined possible. "Multiple contacts," the sensor officer reported, his hands flying over his console. "The readings, they're everywhere. It's like we just stepped into Times Square after thinking we were in the middle of the desert." Inside the crystalline structure, Lyra Sen was rapidly assembling an emergency meeting of the Contact Council. Representatives from a dozen major galactic civilizations materialized in the quantum space, their forms ranging from crystalline like the Aetherians to purely energetic patterns to structures of living metal. "The humans have arrived far earlier than predicted," she announced without preamble. "They are here now, in a ship of their own design, having independently discovered quantum field technology." The quantum space erupted with overlapping signals of shock, disbelief, and concern. The Mechanoid Collective's representative, a shifting cloud of nanites, formed into a sharp-edged pattern of distress. Impossible, it transmitted. Our calculations indicated they were at least 50 cycles from achieving quantum resonance. Their mathematical models shouldn't even be advanced enough to conceptualize the basic principles. And yet, came the thoughtful response from the energy beings of Antares. Their form a delicate weave of light. They are here. Perhaps it is time we accepted that human development cannot be predicted by our traditional models. Back on the Endeavor, Sarah had made her decision. Broadcast on all frequencies, including the new quantum bands we're detecting. Universal greeting protocol, just like we practiced. The message was simple. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth ship Endeavor. We come in peace, seeking friendship and knowledge. The response, when it came, was unlike anything they had expected. The space around their ship shimmered, and suddenly they found themselves looking at what appeared to be a conference room filled with beings that challenged their understanding of what life could be. Greetings, humans, came a voice that seemed to bypass their ears and speak directly to their minds. We are the Galactic Contact Council. We have been watching your development for quite some time. Sarah straightened her uniform, acutely aware that she was about to become humanity's first official representative to an alien civilization. On behalf of Earth, we are honored to make your acquaintance. Though I admit, we're surprised to find such a developed presence so close to our solar system. The quantum network exists everywhere, explained a crystalline being that identified itself as Lyra Senator. You simply couldn't perceive it until you achieved quantum resonance, though your method of achieving it is unique. The ship's science officer was practically vibrating with excitement as he studied the readings. Captain, their technology. It's integrated with space-time itself. The theoretical implications are staggering. There is much we can teach you, Lyra Sen continued, but there are concerns we must address. Your species' rate of advancement is unprecedented. Some among us believe it represents a potential threat to galactic stability. Sarah smiled diplomatically, though her mind was racing with the implications. With respect, we've just discovered we're not alone in the universe. Our immediate concern is establishing peaceful contact and learning about our galactic neighbors. If our progress causes concern, perhaps that's something we can discuss openly, as equals. The quantum space rippled with varying reactions. The mechanoid collective transmitted patterns of caution, while the energy beings pulsed with what might have been approval. Lyra Sen's crystalline form shimmed with complex emotions no human could interpret. There is a prophecy. Lyra Sen began, but was immediately interrupted by multiple quantum signals of protest from other council members. The humans should not be told, the mechanoid collective insisted. It could influence their development path. They have already broken every development model we possessed. The energy beings countered. Perhaps it is time for new approaches. Sarah watched the exchange with intense interest, noting how even in their disagreement, these diverse beings maintained a harmony of communication that seemed almost orchestral in its complexity. If I may, she interjected, causing all attention to focus back on her. Whatever this prophecy is, whatever concerns you may have about humanity's development, we're here now. We've taken our first step into a larger universe. Wouldn't it be better to face whatever challenges lie ahead together, with open dialogue and mutual understanding? There was a moment of profound silence in both normal and quantum space. Then, gradually, the council members began indicating agreement. Perhaps, Lyra Sen said finally, the prophecy is already fulfilling itself in ways we never expected. Captain Chen, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I formally welcome humanity to the interstellar community. There will be much to discuss. As diplomatic channels were established and first contact protocols initiated, Sarah took a moment to send a brief quantum transmission back to Earth. First contact achieved. They've been watching us. There's good news and complicated news. The galaxy is more incredible than we ever imagined, and humanity just became part of it. The message would reach Earth in seconds through the quantum network, forever changing human civilization. But as Sarah looked at the assembled alien representatives, she couldn't help but wonder about the prophecy they'd mentioned. and what role humanity was destined to play in this vast, complex galactic civilization they had just joined. The Quantum Plague. 5 years after first contact, Dr. Maya Patel stood in the Quantum Communications Center of New Delhi, watching as another sector of the galactic network went dark. The holographic display that normally showed the intricate web of quantum connections, linking thousands of civilizations, now had spreading zones of emptiness, like holes being eaten in fabric. "That's the third sector this week," she muttered, her fingers dancing over the hybrid interface that merged human touchscreens with alien quantum technology. The pattern is accelerating. Behind her, Ambassador Chen, formerly Captain Chen of the ESS Endeavour, conferred with a shimmering projection of Lyra Senator. In the years since first contact, the former ship captain had become humanity's primary representative to the Galactic Council, her steady diplomacy helping ease humanity's integration into interstellar society. The quantum plague has now affected 30% of all network nodes, Lyra Sen reported, her crystalline form dulled with concern. The Mechanoid Collective has lost contact with 60% of their systems. The energy beings of Antares can no longer maintain their group consciousness across affected sectors. But Earth's communications remain intact, Maya interjected, turning from her station. "Our quantum receivers are affected, yes, but our traditional networks, radio, fiber optics, even our old satellite systems, they're all functioning normally." "Precisely," Ambassador Chen said, a familiar glint in her eye. "And that's why I've called this meeting. Dr. Patel has a theory about the plague that the Council needs to hear." Maya took a deep breath, still somewhat awed by addressing beings whose civilization had been ancient before humans had mastered fire. The quantum plague isn't a natural phenomenon. It's not even really a plague. It's code, the most sophisticated computer virus ever created. She gestured, and a holographic display shifted to show her analysis. "We missed it at first because we were looking at it through quantum mathematics. But when we analyzed it using classical computing models, well, look." The display showed the plague's spread pattern, but now overlaid with familiar computer science principles. To the Aetherian observer, the pattern suddenly shifted from chaos to clear purpose. "It's attacking the fundamental protocols of the quantum network," Maya explained. "The reason Earth's old technology isn't affected is that it's too primitive to be vulnerable. Our quantum tech is so new, so basic, that it lacks the sophisticated protocols the virus needs to propagate." "Impossible," came a new voice as the Mechanoid Collective's representative joined the quantum conference. "The quantum network protocols were established by the first ones themselves. They cannot be corrupted." "Nothing is incorruptible," Maya countered. "Every system has vulnerabilities. The quantum network's greatest strength, its perfect interconnectedness, is now its greatest weakness. The virus spreads instantaneously through quantum entanglement. There's no lag time, no warning. By the time you detect it, it's already too late." Ambassador Chen stepped forward. "This is why the Council needs to consider our proposal. Earth's primitive communication systems could provide a backup network while we fight this thing. We can't match the speed or efficiency of quantum communications, but radio waves and light-speed transmissions can't be corrupted by this virus." The quantum space filled with overlapping signals as more Council members joined the discussion. The energy beings pulsed with particular distress. Their entire civilization depended on quantum connectivity to maintain their collective consciousness across vast distances. "We're already seeing the effects," Lyra Sen noted grimly. "Trade is disrupted. Quantum-based navigation is failing. The more advanced the civilization, the harder they're being hit. The Mechanoid Collective can barely maintain coherence between their component nodes." "There's something else," Maya added, her voice quiet but firm. "The virus. It's learning, adapting. Every attempt to stop it just makes it stronger. This isn't just an attack on our communications. It's an attack on galactic civilization itself." The quantum space erupted with theories and accusations. Who could have created such a weapon? The mechanoid collective accused the energy beings of attempting to force everyone to share their group consciousness. The energy beings suggested the mechanoids had lost control of one of their self-evolving defense systems. Enough. Ambassador Chen's voice cut through the chaos. Assigning blame doesn't solve our problem. What matters is finding a solution before we lose the quantum network entirely. Maya pulled up another display, this one showing Earth's growing network of traditional communication relays. We've been preparing for something like this. Not a quantum virus specifically, but any disruption to galactic communications. We've been building redundancy into our systems, maintaining our old networks even as we adopted quantum tech. We can help, but we need the Council's authorization to begin installing relay stations throughout affected sectors. Lyra Sen's form pulsed with rapid color changes as she processed the implications. You wish to overlay primitive human technology across the most sophisticated communication network ever created. The energy requirements alone would be staggering. Yes, Maya agreed, but it would work. More importantly, it would give us time to analyze the virus without risk of it spreading further. Sometimes the best way to fight a sophisticated attack is with simple tools. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity, the newcomers to galactic society, might hold the key to saving it, not through advanced technology, but through their stubborn insistence on maintaining what the other races considered obsolete. There's a certain poetry to it, Ambassador Chen mused. The prophecy spoke of primitive strength becoming a gift to the galaxy. Perhaps this is what it meant. Before anyone could respond, the quantum space flickered violently. Another sector had gone dark, taking with it a significant portion of the mechanoid collective's consciousness. The choice was becoming clear. Adapt or lose everything. We have a human saying, Maya offered into the tense silence. Sometimes you have to take a step backward to move forward. As if in answer, more sectors began to go dark, the quantum plague accelerating its spread. Time was running out for galactic civilization, and their only hope might lie in embracing technology that most had considered obsolete for millennia. The prophecy was unfolding, but not in the way anyone had expected. Humanity's gift to the galaxy wouldn't be some great technological leap forward, but rather the wisdom to know when to take a step back, and the stubborn determination to keep multiple paths open, just in case. Unexpected solutions. The maintenance pod drifted in space near the edge of the Antares sector, its hull a patchwork of human and alien technology. Inside, Lieutenant Kai Jackson cursed as he soldered another connection in place, the hybrid electronics sparking under his carefully controlled plasma torch. "How's it looking, Lieutenant?" Dr. Maya Patel's voice crackled through the old-style radio. "No quantum communications out here, not anymore. Not since the plague had claimed this sector 3 weeks ago. Like something my kid brother would build with spare parts," Kai replied, securing the final connection. "But it's working. Radio repeater station Gamma 17 is online." He pushed away from the jury-rigged communications array and admired his handiwork. It wasn't pretty. Traditional radio equipment merged with salvaged quantum tech, all powered by a miniature fusion reactor of human design. The mechanoids would have been horrified by its lack of elegance, but that was exactly why it worked. "Confirmed," Maya's voice came back. "Signal is stable. Coverage extends to about 3 light-years. Not great by quantum standards, but better than no communication at all," Kai finished. "How many more of these do we need?" "In this sector, about 50. Across the galaxy, thousands." There was a pause. The energy beings lost another cluster today. Without quantum links to maintain their group consciousness, they're fragmenting into individual entities. Some of them are not taking it well. Kai began packing up his tools, each movement careful in the zero gravity. "Never thought we'd be saving advanced alien civilizations with technology they considered obsolete a decade ago." "That's not the only thing we're working on," Maya replied, her voice taking on the excited tone that Kai had learned meant she'd made a breakthrough. "Remember how I said the quantum plague was like a computer virus? Well, We've been analyzing its code using classical computing methods, and we found something interesting. Ambassador Chen is briefing the council now. The scene shifted to the emergency council chamber on Earth, one of the few places still capable of maintaining stable quantum space for meetings. Ambassador Chen stood before the assembled representatives, her expression grave but determined. Dr. Patel's team has confirmed that the quantum plague is artificial in origin, she announced. But its purpose isn't to destroy the quantum network, it's trying to modify it. The chamber erupted in overlapping quantum signatures of alarm and confusion. Lyra Sen's crystalline form pulsed with intense colors. Modify it. To what end? We believe, Chen continued, it's attempting to upgrade the network's protocols. The virus isn't destroying connections. It's trying to force them to evolve. A ripple of shock passed through the council. The mechanoid representatives' nanite cloud formed sharp, aggressive patterns. Impossible. The quantum network cannot be upgraded. The protocols are fundamental to reality itself. That's what we thought about the laws of physics before we discovered quantum mechanics. Maya's voice cut in as her hologram joined the chamber. Everything can evolve, even the foundations of reality. She gestured, and a complex display appeared in the center of the chamber. The plague's code contains elements we recognize from our own early AI research, specifically evolutionary algorithms. It's not just attacking the network, it's learning from each attempt to stop it, incorporating new defenses into its basic structure. But why? The energy beings pulsed with distress. Who would create such a thing? We think. Maya hesitated, then forged ahead. We think it might be the first ones themselves. Silence fell over the chamber. Even the quantum space seemed to hold its breath. Explain, Lyra Sen demanded. The code contains signatures that match what we know of First One technology, Maya said. But more than that, it matches the pattern of how they built the quantum network in the first place. This isn't an attack. It's an upgrade program they left behind, designed to activate when the network reached a certain level of complexity. But it's failing, Chen added. The network has evolved in ways the first ones didn't predict. Their upgrade program is incompatible with what the network has become. So how do we stop it? The mechanoid representative demanded. Maya smiled. We don't. We help it succeed, but on our terms. She expanded her display, showing a new pattern of code. We've been working on a hybrid system that combines quantum and classical computing principles. Instead of fighting the plague, we let it make its changes, but we guide those changes using our understanding of classical computer networks. You want to merge primitive human technology with the fundamental architecture of the quantum network. The mechanoid's tone made it clear how absurd they found the idea. Exactly, Maya confirmed. The plague keeps adapting to our defenses because it expects quantum responses. But if we introduce elements it doesn't understand, classical computing principles, analog systems, even some good old-fashioned human chaos theory, we can guide its evolution instead of fighting it. It's risky, Chen acknowledged. But we've already proven that combining our technologies works. Every radio repeater station we've built is a successful merger of human and alien tech. We're not destroying the quantum network, we're helping it evolve into something new, something stronger. Lyra Sen's form shimmered with rapid calculations. The prophecy, she said finally. It spoke of humanity's primitive strength becoming a gift to the galaxy. We thought it meant you would either save or destroy the quantum network. But perhaps it meant we'd help it change, Chen finished. Neither purely creators nor destroyers. That's what the prophecy said. We're both. We break things down to build them better. Back in his maintenance pod, Kai finished securing the last panel on the repeater station. His radio crackled with Maya's voice again. Councils approved the plan. We're going to need a lot more of those hybrid repeaters. They'll be the backbone of the new network while we implement the changes. Kai looked out at the stars, thinking about humanity's strange journey. 5 years ago, they'd been alone in the universe. Now they were about to help reshape the fundamental communication system of galactic civilization. "Better get to work then," he said, setting a course for the next installation point. "The galaxy's not going to rewire itself." A new dawn. The quantum space above Earth shimmered with more active connections than it had seen since the plague began. Representatives from every surviving civilization had gathered to witness the moment that would either save or destroy galactic society. At the center of it all, Dr. Maya Patel stood before a console that represented the merger of a dozen different technological philosophies. "Final diagnostics are complete," she announced, her voice carrying across both traditional radio frequencies and quantum channels. "The hybrid network is stable. We're ready to begin the transformation." Ambassador Chen, standing beside her old friend, surveyed the assembled representatives. The mechanoid collective had managed to preserve their consciousness by adopting human-designed backup systems. The energy beings of Antares had learned to exist as smaller, localized group minds, connected by the new hybrid repeater network. Even the crystalline Aetherians had evolved, incorporating organic elements into their forms to better adapt to the changing galaxy. The prophecy. Lyra Sen spoke, her form now showing traces of flowing liquid within its crystal matrix. It was never about destruction or salvation alone. It was about transformation. "That's what humans do best," Chen replied with a slight smile. "We never leave things as we find them. We can't help but change everything we touch, including ourselves." She gestured to the displayed statistics showing how humanity had evolved in the mere 6 years since first contact. Human DNA now showed traces of beneficial adaptations from a dozen alien species. Their technology had advanced centuries beyond its original level, and their consciousness had expanded to embrace concepts that would have been incomprehensible just years before. "The upgrade program left behind by the first ones," Maya explained, her fingers dancing over the hybrid interface. "It wasn't failing because it was flawed. It was failing because it needed something the first ones hadn't predicted: chaos. Controlled chaos, specifically, human chaos." The display showed the new network architecture: quantum pathways interwoven with classical routes, digital systems merged with organic processing, and at every key junction, elements of unpredictability that made the system stronger rather than weaker. "The first ones built the quantum network to be perfect," Maya continued. "But perfect systems can't evolve. They can't adapt. Life, real, messy, chaotic life, finds ways to change, to grow, to become more than it was. That's what their upgrade program was trying to do, but it couldn't succeed until it had an example of controlled chaos to learn from." "From us," Chen added. "From humanity's stubborn insistence on keeping old systems alongside new ones, on finding weird solutions to simple problems, on breaking rules simply to see what happens." A signal pulsed through the quantum space. The energy beings had completed their preparations. Then another. The mechanoids were ready. One by one, every civilization indicated their readiness to begin the transformation. "The new network won't be perfect," Maya warned. "It won't be as fast as the pure quantum system was. There will be delays, irregularities, places where signals take the scenic route through classical space before jumping back to quantum paths. But it will be alive. It will be able to grow, to change, to become more than its creators imagined." "Just like us," Chen said softly. Maya took a deep breath and placed her hand on the activation panel. "Beginning transformation sequence in 3, 2, 1. The quantum space exploded with light as the new protocols began to propagate through the network. The plague's code, instead of fighting the changes, began to incorporate them, learning and evolving as it spread. Where it touched, the network transformed, becoming something entirely new, neither purely quantum nor purely classical, but a living synthesis of both. In the hours that followed, reports began flooding in from across the galaxy. The plague was gone, transformed into part of the new network's immune system. Communications were restored, but changed. Information now flowed like rivers, finding new paths when old ones were blocked, creating new connections where none had existed before. It's beautiful, Lyra Sin observed, watching the new network patterns form. Chaotic, imperfect, but beautiful. Like life itself. 1 week later, the Galactic Council convened in its new form, a hybrid of quantum space and physical presence, with representatives attending both in person and through the new network. Ambassador Chen stood before them, preparing to deliver humanity's proposal for the next phase of galactic development. The prophecy has been fulfilled. She began, but not ended. The third stone has awakened, the great web has been transformed, and now we face a new dawn. Humanity pledges to continue serving as the bridge between order and chaos, between the ancient and the new. We ask not to rule, not to dominate, but to connect, to help all of us, human and alien alike, discover what we might become together. The council chamber resonated with approval across multiple frequencies of existence. In orbit above Earth, Kai Jackson made final adjustments to the last of the old repeater stations, now transformed into nodes of the living network. Dr. Maya Patel began drafting plans for the next generation of hybrid technology. And across the galaxy, civilizations that had once feared humanity's primitive strength now embraced it as the key to their shared future. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, their light carried across the new network in ways both quantum and classical, ordered and chaotic, perfect and flawed. The galaxy had changed forever, and humanity had found its true place within it, not as conquerors or saviors, but as the vital spark of chaos that made eternal growth possible.